Yeah, he's a trumpeter. That's crazy.
So, yeah, how's your morning of NAMM? Have you enjoyed your
amazing.
first session?
You know what? Jackson asked me yesterday, is there anybody that you would be, what'd you ask me about being starstruck?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Oh yeah. Is there anybody who would you be starstruck by anybody?
And I was like, nobody.
Just in
I was like, maybe Beyonce, right? And I see Rick Beato, and I'm like, oh.
I saw in the room. I saw like people like whipping out their phones.
Oh, yeah.
And, like zooming on his face when they saw him. Yeah, he's awesome.
Bro,
He's such a good dude.
He is.
I posted a picture on my Instagram, and for the first time in 3 years, I've decided today I've got to start using social media.
Yes, yeah, we all do.
I just, it's trying to grow my business, my brand. Make connections, stay connected to people I've worked with. And I posted, and like my cousin who's a musician and I haven't talked to in a long time, I was like, oh, he texted me back right away.
Yeah.
He's like, Rick Beato? He's like, I'm so excited to see you there. And then he had a story about Rick Beato he started telling me. And
Yeah, I kept filming every time he'd start talking. I'd just film the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to clip it and post it.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
He's associated with it, and it's nothing he said before exactly like that. So I'm like, yo, dude, some kind of numbers.
For me, it was Rick Beato and Fab DuPont.
Yeah, Fab
Oh
DuPont.
my gosh.
I really appreciated all the stuff that Fab DuPont had to say too.
Yeah, he was like really good.
He seemed really like
I told you,
really smart and intuitive.
Yeah, and he's in tune.
A lot of good
he's
insight.
in tune with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, with reference to what's happened in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. He was talking about the studio, studio setups and getting expensive gear and what's more important. And then he gave the reason like why it's more important.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool.
I was encouraged by that because as a studio owner, I built my setup with all of that stuff in mind. I tried to have just enough equipment that I could afford it and not be put too much pressure on my finances and my family, that I could do a band in a room. Everybody can hear themselves on 4 or 5 sets of headphones. Playback can be solid. Like I could give musicians an experience in the studio where they could all play together and do something that they can't do at home themselves. And have enough equipment for that, but also just take care of the sound and the vibe of my room so that people have a good time and want to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
So this is our new friend Josh.
Yes.
We met yesterday.
Okay. So I got to
Is
say,
that where I'm looking?
Yeah.
sunny days driving the clouds away. So yesterday we met you and you talked about working with Sesame Street.
Yeah, I've been mixing and casting voices and producing tracks. Well, helping produce tracks for Sesame Street for like 10 years now. It hasn't been like day-to-day work, but it's been this cool client that comes back once in a while.
Man, listen.
And,
if I had Sesame Street on my resume,
it's a
everybody
good one.
else could.
It's a good
Sesame
one.
Street.
Yeah.
So, hey, look. I don't care what you have to say, Sesame Street. That'll be me because I grew up on Sesame Street.
Yeah, me too.
Because I grew up in Nigeria and there wasn't like cable TV, like cable whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stations, they would just rerun stuff that he had on tape. So we were getting a lot of the same episodes of Sesame Street like every week or every few weeks. So it was really. We got to the point where a lot of us knew a lot of the words to a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It's just so much a part of my childhood that if I could get to work with them, that'd be just like legendary.
Yeah.
Now, you have this crazy story about how you got into making children's content.
Oh yeah, well,
and we have to hear that.
Well, that's cool because making children's music and audiobooks and animation and entertainment, educational stuff has become a huge part of my work in the last 10 or 15 years. And I had my own recording studio in Vancouver, and I was working out of doing broadcasting at the CBC network.
Nice.
And I was producing artists, and I was making my own music. And but my wife, and I was a security guard also. I had a few other jobs, and my wife said, let's move to Japan. And I said, what?
That's crazy.
And like, I was not so sure about it. But after about a month or so, it really kind of sunk in. Like, well, that'd be cool. And so I brought enough equipment. I brought my computer. Actually, I had a Mac that I carried on the airplane,
Wow.
a big G4 Macintosh by a handle. And I was back and forth to Japan. Anyways, we moved to Japan, and I brought enough equipment to produce artists or find connections. And as soon as we got there, I started connecting with this company that produces educational materials, and they, after teaching English there for the year, they decided I'd be a perfect fit to be their music producer for creating this educational product.
Yeah.
And so, man, 20 years ago, that was 18 years ago, I think now, moved to Japan, taught English, but came home from Japan with this like really great gig as as a producer of children's music stuff. And
That's
then
crazy.
through that process, I was the one-man producer, and I was writing the music, I was casting the voices, I was editing, I was mixing, I was mastering, and the project grew and grew. And then there's a big video team. I'm working with animators, and that prepared me to work with Sesame Street and whoever else wants that kind of content. So yeah, I've
From Japan to Sesame Street.
Yeah,
That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And you were saying you've done 600, 700, 800, pieces of projects.
And that's just children's music. That's just the children's music has been like the most prolific stuff. I've produced well over 1,000 songs or audiobooks or animations for clients over the last just 18 years.
Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the approach to mixing a children's song? What would you if you could describe the sonics of it?
His face, his look on his face was like, that's secret sauce. I can't even give it out
No,
the
it's
trade
like,
secrets.
How would you describe it in a general package? I'm just curious.
It's the same as everything else. It's about creating the right moment, the right picture, the right vibe that's going to give kids the right amount of emotion so they can connect with the song, so that a little kid can grab onto the lyrics of a song that's teaching them about friendship or colors or feelings, and that they can feel something. And the melody is huge because like a lot of the children's stuff it's got to be a good hook. It's got to be a beautiful song, a melody that kids can memorize. Because if they can memorize the melody, then the lyrical content sticks like glue to that melody.
Well, that's really inspiring. That the fact that usually when I think children's, just the market of children's products in general, I'm thinking a bunch of intelligent, cold adults just know how to make money. But so hearing you as someone behind the scenes, genuinely caring about the mission of the art that you're putting out is really cool.
Well, thanks.
And that's awesome.
Doing so much of it and getting let's do an album at a time. I'd get an album of lyric ideas from a client, and I would write the music. But I kind of have always thought about it like a musical education for kids at the same time. I want to introduce kids, a lot of this is teaching kids around the world, Asia and India and Africa and even a little bit in the US and Europe, teaching them English or helping them
get better at it.
Yeah. And so, but also some of these kids, maybe they've never heard jazz or hip hop or country music. So I'm taking the opportunity to do my best version of country or hip hop or rock and roll and make a song that a kid can get excited about and identify with, and that hits the right emotional buttons that they can really grab onto it and memorize the song and then really learn those words, and then hopefully it sticks with them forever. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, like Sesame Street has stuck with me forever.
There's some songs like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8, 9, 10, 11,
12. That one for me was I think I remember the first time I ever heard it, and it was such an amazing rhythm and melody combined with counting, and I just wanted to count.
Check this out. I just thought about it right now.
Yeah.
Who stops at 12 though? You know what I mean?
Good point.
And it's just, but then whoever was
piano.
working on it probably was thinking like you, like, how can this thing stick? What's the rhythm, melody, and everything? And you needed that da-da-da-da to complete the phrase. So you know what?
It's
11,
important.
12, you know.
Sometimes it's important. I find that in music, it's important to complete an idea in a way that allows the mind to just like
resolve it.
Breathe after and then connect with what came before.
Yeah.
So the ending is a really important part of like a musical phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I had to write a children's song that was like counting from 11 through 20. So it was like counting 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And you're like, oh gosh, this is going to be tricky. But then like it's a, you know, once that was, I had already done, 50, 60, 100 songs, children's music at that point. And like, you start to get good at it. And I've been asked before, after hundreds of songs, don't you run out of ideas? You don't. It's like endless because there's only these 12 notes, but the combinations of those notes and
infinite.
And you can reuse combinations of notes. Like you can't rip off 5 notes in a row from another song because that's stealing. But I think it might be 3 or 4 notes is the rule. But anyhow, there's a lot of reusing of great ideas in small amounts and it's endless. And I found like I'm writing children's songs now just last week, and I got to go home tomorrow and finish off a children's song about bees.
I love it.
About honeybees or something.
It's so innocent.
Yeah.
And like the mission is so clear. It's really cool.
It is cool. And I got to tell you, like I have a big community of music producing friends and colleagues, and making music is the greatest job. And I'm sure you guys understand and know from experience, right? But like producing art is just the greatest. But producing art that helps kids feel good and grow and learn, I found to be the most gratifying work that I've ever done. I also like I have other work for like producing like instrumental and like Christian hymns for the Christian community, and like knowing that they are using the music to sort of soothe or to, remember family members or
bring unity.
To worship or whatever, in whatever way they're using it. I get feedback from my clients telling me that like that stuff too. It's like, it's next level because they are emotionally and spiritually like really like touched by it. And it's like kids the same way. They're learning and growing, and like I get such a better experience, like gratification from that kind of work than if I'm just creating a big like a pop hit or a hip hop track for an artist that just wants to make people dance and feel big happy emotions.
Right.
Well, and then the complete inverse of that is like the world of drug and murder music is the complete opposite of feel good. It's like to make you angry.
Yeah, I mean, music is powerful like that.
Right, that's my point.
Yeah.
It's like there's the complete opposite.
So what I love about the children element of it is that they don't judge music. They just know that it's there, and if they're connected to it, they're connected to it. If not connected, they just move on. They just leave it, right?
They don't even have the thought that I don't like this song.
Right. We as adults,
they don't like
we have a gatekeeper thing in our brains that help us, objectivize. Is that a word? Like everything we listen to. Is it good? Is it bad? Why is it good? Why is it bad? Why don't I like it? Or it reminds me of this thing that happened in my life at this time.
Subjectivity of our brains. We're really we're critiquing at all times, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Well, the kids are too. They don't communicate as much yet, and I'll tell you how I know this because for one of my clients in Japan, it's called Grapeseed. It's Grapeseed English, and it teaches English to kids, and it's a curriculum for schools. And I got the chance to go back and forth to Japan 15 times in the last 20 years, maybe 13 or 14 times in the last 20, just on trips to write music with a client, come back, film music videos of these songs. I brought kids from LA and New York and Vancouver and Calgary over to Japan to film on a green screen stage at a big studio there. But I had a lot of time in Japan while working on these songs. So I asked if I could tour a school that was actually using these songs to like see how it sounds, how these kids use these songs. But they let me have a little like conversations with these Japanese kids in a school. And I did this on multiple occasions.
Do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, skoshidake.
Oh.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
That could be the one word I know. You wouldn't know.
I know numbers.
Do you?
Ni, san, chi, goro. I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't mess around.
Because I did karate for a long time.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
We had to count. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. Anyway.
These kids all could speak English on some level or another. And I would have like a discussion with a classroom full of kids. And I'd say like, which songs do you like? And they were really happy to tell me which songs were their favorite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't they didn't want to articulate why maybe or couldn't, but they were very hesitant to tell me which songs they didn't like because that's kind of rude in Japan to talk about something that to tell someone they failed.
Right.
But I got it out of them. Like I coaxed them into telling me which songs they don't like, and they were like, this one's not very good.
Yeah.
And they'd tell me they didn't like the words or the music or the feeling. Like their song, one song I did with like really heavy electric guitars. It was kind of a bit of a metal sound.
Oh, wow.
And like for a kid to hear.
Right.
Some kids will probably be excited about that. Some kids might be like, "This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard."
Yeah.
So like, I try to push kids into experiencing cool styles, but I found through experience, like you can push kids too far, definitely, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I took those opportunities to talk to kids about the music I was making, and because. Man, it's like an episode of, I don't know, that old Bill Cosby TV show, like kids say the darndest things.
Yes.
And he just like talked to kids and they'd be really honest. And some kids are really honest about their opinions.
Honest, no filters whatsoever. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have, even before you went to Japan, you were already in music. You had your M4, your big M4. So
yeah.
What's your background in music? What do you play, first of all?
I play everything. Well, I'm a composer too. I compose music for films and TV and commercials and corporate videos. And
nice.
And a studio owner kind of has to wear a lot of hats. So I
me too.
I play guitar, I play piano, I play drums, I play percussion. I don't play any wind instruments, but I program them on my piano.
Yeah.
And I have a big group of friends that play lots of instruments. So but it all started before, like as a kid in church. My dad was the music director and my grandpa was the pastor. And I got every opportunity, and my brother did as well, to get up on stage and play drums. And
nice.
Randomly in like an evangelical church, it's like you go where the spirit moves, and if that means we're going to go to page 700 of the hymnal because it's a great idea to do this big, dancey song, then that's what we're going to do. But then I'd go as a drummer at 13, I'd go to that page, I'm like, oh my God, it's 9/8 time, like some time signature I've never even heard of.
Wow.
And I'm like, I just have to listen and follow the piano player and the organ player or the guitar player and try to like figure out what to do.
So you started developing feel.
So I started developing how to respond to tricky musical situations with other people at like 13 or so.
Nice.
And then church is like, for us, it was like morning service, afternoon service, nighttime service, youth service, senior service, and if you're a musician, then you're asked, a lot is asked of you to play music for those opportunities. And
you're
so
talking about my life.
Yeah,
that's my life. My dad's a pastor. We'd be in the back, folding the little bulletins. They're going to hand out in church. And I started on percussion.
Yeah,
and then there's a guy that had to move back, different country because he was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And then
this is in Nigeria too?
No. This is in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he showed me how to play the 1-4-5 chord progression.
Oh yeah.
That works on a lot of songs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it was hell for like 6 months. I was just terrible. But then it just started getting better. After praise and worship, nobody would complain. And then I really started taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But then, it was, tried by fire. Just like,
that's confidence boosting too. Because if you can like manage to play music with other people, like my kids don't do that now, but my daughter plays music by herself, so it's different. She's not playing music with other people very often,
right.
And that was that's a boot camp for a musician.
It is
to grow up playing multiple music instruments in a church setting.
Yeah, on demand. You can't stop. This is a thing.
And I had a conversation with I have a friend who's a professional country singer in Canada, and a lot of the professional musicians in our scene, in our community, grew up with that kind of boot camp of music. But man,
Coffee Anderson.
Nothing really matches it because you're playing like 10 or 15 hours a week with people.
Yeah.
That's like kind of a professional musician's
except when you're getting paid, but
and you're just a kid. You're growing up. So yeah, that was cool. And my dad was a gospel singer. I played drums, and my brother would play bass, and my mom would sing backup, and we'd go to other churches and play special music. And he'd get asked to do that once or twice a month. So we were like a family band almost.
Wow.
So yeah, and that turned into me starting bands when I was a teenager, or playing in the youth group bands, or just making music with people, for people. So it was a really natural progression into deciding I want to make a career as a recording engineer so I can make money making music.
All right, so let's talk recording engineering. We're at NAMM, music merchandisers. There's a lot of gear that's going to be, out tomorrow and all that good stuff. So what's some of your favorite gear? What do you use every day? You probably don't use everything in your studio every day, but what's your bread and butter in your lab?
My bread, something I'm looking at every day on my screen is Nuendo.
You a Nuendo guy?
Yeah, and Cubase and Nuendo for the last 20 years now.
Oh wow!
And
I'm Studio One.
Are you?
The guys that programmed Studio One came from.
Did they?
From not Nuendo, but
Steinberg.
Cubase.
Yeah.
It's from Steinberg, from the Steinberg world. Yeah.
That's like the pillar, but every day I've got like a Neumann U87.
Yeah.
That is just like...
You got one of those too?
Yeah. You do too?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. It's on a boom arm right at my desk. I'm a voice actor too.
Nice.
Yeah,
you have a nice
your voice. Yeah.
Aw, thanks, guys. Yeah, so...
like, that's dope.
But it's just always there, so I can audition for stuff every day. I do cartoons, I do commercials, and it's just always... It's my favorite mic, and it sounds the best on my voice, and it sounds the best on a guitar. I throw it on a guitar amplifier. If I have like a violinist or someone or a flautist come in and they're playing, it's just such a great all-around mic. I've got like 15 or 20 other mics, but that one's my favorite. Just so pure and clean. And
I'm gonna go pull mine out because mine's sitting in the box right now.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that.
I think it's like $5,000.
Yeah, it is. But
so Canadian.
So I have it's like 35 in the US, but I have a Stam 800, which is like a clone of the Sony C800.
Yeah.
And that thing sounds amazing. Like it made me put up my U87. Like I don't use it.
I'm gonna ask you to send me a link to what that is.
Okay, I'll do.
Cool.
I'll do. I think I have some files somewhere where I did like a. But yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It's dope.
So if the U87 disappeared.
Well, actually, that's interesting because I have an Audio Technica 4040.
Okay. The big brother of the 2020.
It's a $400 American or maybe $350 American large diaphragm condenser without polar patterns. I've done mic shootouts, and that compared to my U87, it's like 95% of the way there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for $300, it's 1/10 the price. And it's 95% of the quality, which is kind of a big deal. So when other people are aspiring voice actors that want to like give me some tips, I often help people.
You might have to link that in the description.
I often help people get set up in home recording businesses for voice acting because people ask me for tips.
Yeah,
that's my go-to mic for people when they're just want to record their voice for stuff. It's like $300-$400.
What do you think about the SM7B?
Oh, this is a great mic. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
like
That's
these.
like those are 400, I think. Well, US.
This is also like, this is a dynamic microphone. Am I right? So it's like that dynamic microphone sound, which is a little more like compressed almost. It's like a little more compact of a sound. It's more dense, and those large diaphragm condensers have a bit more like air to them. I find I like these sometimes if I'm doing like something intense and I want that proximity effect of my voice on the microphone. But if I want something that's just like, which is my wheelhouse for voice acting, is just an honest conversational voice. Yeah. Like Guy Next Door. People ask me for all the time. Yeah. Where it's just like, hey, I'm trying to sell you a cool product. Did you know? Have you heard about the new Volkswagen? Like that guy.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm watching TV right now.
That guy, he's good on a large diaphragm condenser because it's just so honest. Yes. It doesn't sound like it sounds less like a person on a mic and more like a person a foot or 2 feet from you. Yeah. So that's.
I know exactly. Yeah. And it's ironic that these are called dynamic mics and those mics are more dynamic because you can really get soft and go, and it catches all of those nuances. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Nice. Yeah. So what else is in the room?
Oh, I'm surrounded by instruments. Okay. I got a couple electric guitars. My first electric guitar I got when I was 14 was a Fender Strat. Okay. That's my favorite. And I've got a
American. Mexican?
It's an American Fender Strat, and my brother's friend was selling it, and I think I got it for like $400.
That's a steal.
Yeah,
Are you kidding?
It was a steal at that time too. That was 30 years ago almost. Oh, so and I've got my guitars like hanging on the walls in my studio, and I've got a couple keyboards and. I've got a mandolin and a banjo and a couple of ukuleles. Oh, man. And like children's music using the ukulele and the banjo and like a jaw harp and harmonicas and shakers. It's like,
that's it.
Come on.
That's
that's good stuff because you can just like, it's just so organic and light. Because a lot of children's music that I want to make, and it's not only children's music that I make, but that's mostly what I'm making lately. It's like you want kids to have light, happy feelings that they can really connect with, feel good about. So like, everything's just within arm's reach. Yeah. Most of it's out of tune. Like I had a friend come over the other day. He's like, "Oh, grab my guitar," and it was so out of tune. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel bad. I haven't used that one in a couple months."
Yeah. What about outboard gear?
Oh yeah, I've got like an Avalon preamp and a strip of API preamps, 4-channel, and I've got Focusrite preamps. I've got like enough to do 24. I've got a snake, and I've got cables and mics and preamps and inputs enough to do 24 tracks. Wow. At any time. So if I want, and this is how I got started as a music producer actually. My grandmother and my parents loaned me enough money to buy gear in a big flight case, and I got preamps and input and some routing stuff so that I could go do live recordings. Which was awesome because you just roll your flight case into a concert venue or a church and connect a splitter snake to their snake.
That was it.
And take all of the lines and then put up my own room mics and record the live recording, and then the band comes back to my studio the next day and we start overdubbing what didn't sound good.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That was how I started, and I made like when I was 21 or 22, I just made my first album. They trusted me to actually pay me to do a live recording.
Yeah. And that's the big thing now in Christian music is live recording.
Yeah. That was my first gig too. It was like a live recording of a church of their music.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. That really helped catapult me into like making money as a recording engineer.
Yeah. So is your studio at your house?
Yeah, it's in the basement.
Nice. Basement is a nice place.
It's huge.
We can't have basements in Texas.
Oh, you can't
because of the soil.
Oh, yeah. Basement's huge.
Yeah.
We built the house and it's a walkout basement, so it's got a back door, so people can come, and the windows. So artists and singers and voice actors and musicians can come to the back door and not have to go through the house to get to the basement studio. And I soundproofed and I built tons of acoustic panels, and it sounds really good.
Nice.
Really good.
So you built all your panels?
Yeah.
So did I.
Can we come visit? Can me and Jackson and Jeff come visit?
Yeah, you sure can.
We can?
Yeah.
Okay.
The house I'm in burned down.
Oh, hey.
4 years after we built it.
Wow.
And I lost most of my stuff.
What?
The instruments were okay.
What are the odds of that?
The fire, it was while we were on vacation, and the firefighters called us and said, your house is on fire. We'll call you back soon. And they got in and took out my instruments. Thank goodness.
Wow.
My Neumann was sitting, the same one I use now, was sitting on my desk in a pool of water.
Whoa.
And when I got to the house 4 days later, there it was in a pool of water, all smoky, and they saved the house. The neighbor's house completely burned down, and our house caught, and they used like 1 million gallons of water to put out the fire, but smoke damage just wrecked most of the stuff. But the firefighters were like, whoa, look at this guy's studio. Let's get in there and take out his instruments.
Shout out to the
they're still...
right?
Huh?
You're in
Calgary.
Yeah. Shout out to the firefighters in Calgary.
Kidding.
Shout out to the firefighters in LA that are doing amazing work right now.
No
we
doubt.
love you guys and we support you guys.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But I rebuilt that. We rebuilt that house. It was gutted, and we rebuilt it and got like most of our stuff brand new because it was wrecked. But same house. And then when I rebuilt the studio, I hired a friend to help me build panels and acoustic diffusers and and a cloud above my mixing spot.
Yeah,
and,
he just did a build in his studio with the clouds, and
I want to see
him and Jeff built all that stuff. We'll show you some pictures.
Yeah,
later.
I want to see.
I picked some crazy fabric.
Yeah,
put on.
It's really cool.
Good.
I wish I could do.
Yeah,
mine
I did
again.
too. I went to the fabric store and I got some
That's what he did.
some mid-century modern weird green pattern with
DNA. What is this? That's exactly what he did.
No way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so
Super cool. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So what's next? So if you over the next 5 years, do you want to kind of still focus on children's music, children's content? Because I personally don't think it's going anywhere. It's going to keep growing.
Yeah, I do.
Or is there other things that you're really passionate about that you want to do?
Yeah, there is. Well, I've started. I self-diagnosed myself as having ADD, ADHD, for a long time ago, and then recently I'm like, I feel like this is holding me back because I have this block. I can't think about the future. I can't plan ahead because it's just it's so abstract to me and difficult. And I went into my doctor and he's like, hell yeah, you have ADHD. I checked all the boxes. And, but that's really I find having that is a bit of a superpower for me because I'm my mind just goes creatively in so many different directions and out of order, but I find I'm able to create music, be able to be creative in ways that is unusual. People might not understand. I might have a harder time working with people.
I understand it more than you think.
Okay. So I'm all over the place. But if you ask me to organize it, it's tricky, but I always am able to get it done, but it's a bit wild, but it's kind of awesome. I find that I do good work and I make cool stuff. But if you ask me to plan, what's your 4-year plan? I'm it gives me anxiety to think about that because I can't process it. So anyhow, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I talked to a therapist, and I'm trying to grow as a small business owner so that I can start to actually plan for the future and try new things and look ahead. So I've started looking ahead. Thank you.
Good for
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff.
And that's scary, but it feels good. And I met with a guy who sees me as a asset to him. He's a video producer and I'm an audio producer, and he knows I make children's content, and he's like, let's collaborate and create our own YouTube channel and make good quality content for kids and not just every kid, but kids with, neurodivergent kids, and kids with, that are struggling with big emotions, and kids that have autism, and like there's such a vast variety of kids out there, and like
not enough resources.
I think most of the art that's made for kids is just made for like typical kids.
Yeah.
And so we want to like scratch an itch or provide a service or beautiful art for kids that can help all kids learn. And so that's something I'm thinking about lately.
This might not sound like much, but I like how you use the word typical kids versus normal.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like there is such a thing as typical, and normal is overused, if you ask me. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because we were talking about that, a little bit, and with kids that are like on the spectrum, for instance. The fact that I know a kid who knows every Southeast Asian national anthem in the original languages and is teaching himself Korean.
How old is he?
He is 9.
Oof, yeah, boy.
So like that's, to me, that's special.
That is.
That's really awesome. I wish I could do that, right? So he's not your typical kid.
No,
that's just what it is. It's not that he's not normal. He's just not your typical kid.
Yeah.
So
and kids like that, they have the special abilities, but also the other side of the coin is they struggle with a lot of stuff that typical kids might otherwise just like, it just feels okay. So a lot of big feelings, a lot of big loud feelings for kids, and like it's my wife teaches kids with special needs and developmental delays, and so I've seen deep inside of that world from the perspective of my wife as a teacher, and then parents that she works with, and I kind of know that, and I want to make the world a little better in that respect.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank
For
you.
real.
Yeah, and I also just want to do voice acting more because I love it.
Yeah,
and it's so it's so easy to.
Do you have an agent?
No, I don't even have an agent.
You should get one or look into it.
I've thought about it. I'm so busy with music that it's very background. Like if a really cool audition comes up, I'll pull the mic in, I'll record an audition, and I'll hope for the best. And maybe one in every 10 or 15 things I audition for, I get. But I love doing it. I love when like a company or an organization has scripted something and just needs a voice, needs someone to honestly communicate that in their words, hopefully from their sound. To using my own voice, I find that the coolest thing, to just be able to use my voice, who I am and what I sound like, and be able to put a voice to a script or a company's, message.
Right.
Yeah. That's super cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Man, this has been a really cool conversation.
Yeah,
man.
sweet. Me too.
Sunny days.
Yeah, he's a trumpeter. That's crazy.
Had to get
You
to
have so much
Sesame
control
Street.
over what comes out of your mouth.
That was cool. That was so dope. I forgot the word.
Cool.
That was still cool.
That's awesome. You can record a
Awesome.
whole sample pack with your
I know.
I don't know.
instruments with your
I know.
voice. No,
I've definitely
crazy
used mouth horns for recordings before, like
It sounded
multiple
like you were
times.
going
Children's music, and there's opportunities to,
That's cool.
that's usable. That's usable on the odd children's song.
That is so
We're gonna put
dope.
some reverb. Nice,
One in
we're
every
gonna make it
200
like-
songs, there's a chance for mouth horns.
That's dope. A little distortion, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we're gonna hear it. Just go straight into some pads in the back.
Oh yeah. 2 weeks ago, I was making a hip hop track, and I was like creating percussion, just like hitting my face. This kind of stuff.
He's got a hammer. He's like,
You can do that?
Yeah, you can do it too.
No way.
It's a little bit
That's
softer up there for you than me, but
That is crazy.
chainsaw.
That is so dope.
Yeah, well,
Man,
thank you so much.
So
You bet,
much,
man.
Yeah,
I
we'll,
enjoyed that.
We'll
Hey, you know
get
what?
on
excited
your
to
I feel
check
like,
out.
I feel like we're going to work together. We're going to work together.
Yeah,
on
let's
something.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
for
all
sure.
about that. And I work remotely with people all over the place. Obviously, Japan and China have been kind of big for me, but musicians and collaborators and writers across North America, especially, I'm all over the map, and I'd love
dope.
to be able to like help you guys out with something, or collaborate on something, or write something, or make something, or just like
I'm with it.
connect with other
Don't worry about it. It's gonna happen.
podcasts,
and some sort of
opportunities.
obviously you're comfortable with making content, but some sort of YouTube video, like competition wise, I always see that like 6 producers take the same sample, 6 producers mix the same song, stuff like that is always fun. So, I mean, the window of opportunity is endless.
Yes, no
Yeah,
doubt.
we'll do something
Yeah,
for sure.
Good.
Man,
fun,
thank you
but-
so much, Josh.
Yeah, you're
Really good to
welcome.
meet you, boy.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, lifelong friendship
You're the
made.
man.
Yeah, all right.
Right here.
I love
Yes,
it.
sir.
I love it.
All right.
Nam is awesome like that.
And this has been the New Space Podcast. I am Ife, and
I'm Jackson.
we have with us today,
Josh Friesen.
yes,
Josh
thank you,
Friesen.
Josh. Burp, burp.
Oh.